Red Dead Redemption 2 offers one of the most immersive, sprawling digital worlds ever created. A map so rich with life and secret encounters that players can spend hundreds of hours within its borders. Yet for all its colossal size, every world, even a digital one, must have an edge, a point where the frontier ends and the untamed void begins. As you approach the absolute limits of this playable space, the mountains of Amberino, the deserts of New Austin, or the vast, unnamed wilderness beyond, your journey comes to an abrupt halt. An invisible barrier blocks your path. Your horse balks, your character trips and falls. No matter how you try to glitch, jump, or ride past it, this unseen wall holds firm. It's a fundamental restraint of the game's design. But what if these borders aren't just there to keep the player in? What if they're placed there to keep something else out? The community has speculated for years about the true purpose of these impassable walls, and one chilling theory has taken root in the shadows of the internet, whispering about an unseen entity that observes the player's every move from the lonely distance. An entity the community has collectively called the Twigman. Before we sift through the scattered evidence, the shaky footage, the cryptic forum posts, we must first define the shadow we're chasing. Who or what is the Twigman? Is this a genuine Easter egg, a clever bit of hidden code in place by the developers? Is it simply a widespread instance of the human tendency to see patterns of faces and random data? Or most importantly, is this entire phenomenon just a meticulously constructed hoax? This so-called urban legend has remained largely obscure, a piece of lore whispered mainly within niche forums and on social media platforms. The details are sparse, yet they paint a remarkably consistent and disturbing picture. The Twigman is described as an alleged entity, NPC, or placeholder model that lurks permanently outside of the official map boundaries. Its sole purpose, according to the lore, is to stalk the player and act as a lethal failsafe, preventing anyone from successfully breaching the game's perimeter. The figure is said to be tall, unnaturally slender, and devoid of distinct features. Its appearance is its greatest defense. It supposedly looked like a dead tree or a cluster of dark, sharp branches, allowing it to seamlessly blend into the barren environments beyond the map's edge. This natural camouflage is central to his mythos. You aren't meant to see it, it's meant to watch you. Encounters, whether through accidental out-of-bounds glitches or deliberate boundary testing, are reported to be terrifyingly brief. The Twigman is said to move with extreme unnatural speed, often described as teleporting or vanishing the instant a player catches a clear sight of it. If a player does manage to glitch past the barrier, the outcome is fatal. The Twigman instantly kills the main character, much like the notorious invisible sniper that guards the New Austin border in the early stage of the story. So, why the obscurity? If such a terrifying guardian exists, why has the vast Red Dead Redemption 2 community only recently begun to speak its name? The primary reason is inherent to its nature. In the midst of exploring the vibrant world, robbing trains, hunting legendary animals, and immersing yourself in missions, you are simply not looking at the map's desolate edges. A figure designed to look like an ordinary tree, miles in the distance, is perfectly engineered to go unnoticed by the vast majority of players. The quiet whispers turned to a loud, frantic conversation in 2023. This is when the scattered individual sightings began to coalesce into a genuine, if still niche community phenomenon. The spark was lit by multiple accounts on social media, particularly TikTok, that started posting unnerving, yet vague content regarding a strange entity outside the map, particularly within the Red Dead Online mode. The content varied, but the core narrative was consistent. A tall, slender creature was watching them from the out-of-bounds wilderness. The initial videos from the primary three accounts, Hosea Matthews 202, John.Marston _, and the now private XL Rage LX, were intentionally cryptic. They merely mentioned the Twigman in captions or text overlays without offering any clear explanation or footage. This intentional ambiguity ignited speculation. Was this entity a reference to the Butcher Creek deformed NPC? A nod to the strange alien creatures referenced in the game's rock ravings? Or was it something far more sinister and original? In the wake of these original posts, a wave of secondary videos began to flood in the internet. Players started posting their own alleged sightings, all black featureless figures seen momentarily in the distance, shadowy shapes that flicker into existence for a single frame before disappearing. Were these subsequent sightings validation of the original claim, or were they simply the result of players suddenly looking for and finding what they were told to look for? The original creators eventually began to offer answers in the comment section, claiming the Twigman was a placeholder entity put into the Reddit Online beta to fill the role of New Austin Sniper in the northern, snowy Amberino region. Its purpose was strictly functional, an untextured, simplified model intended to immediately kill players who exploited glitches to escape the map during the beta phase. If this explanation were true, the Twigman wouldn't exist anywhere else in the final game, and certainly not in the story mode. This revelation introduces the first major inconsistencies that plague the Twigman legend. If it was only in the online beta and only in Amberino, how do we explain the wave of alleged sightings, screenshots, and footage that continued to appear well after the beta ended? And why do some of the original defining images appear in the desert regions of the map, far from the cold northern mountains? This urban legend is already showing signs of a carefully crafted narrative. To uncover the truth, we must next examine the original evidence itself, the screenshots that launch 1,000 nightmares, and expose the conspiracy behind that creation. If the narrative surrounding the Twigman felt too convenient, too perfectly tailored to an internet creepypasta, that's because it was. The three original accounts, Hosea Matthews 202, John Marston, and LX Rage LX, didn't simply report a finding. They were the architects of the myth. Their initial cryptic post acted not as documentation, but as a deliberate trail of breadcrumbs designed to lure the community into an elaborate psychological experiment. The first post in this trio of fabricated sightings came from the account Hosea Matthews 202, posted on May 14, 2023. Presenting as a slideshow, it employed a common dramatic technique, the bait and switch. The first slides dismissed the idea of RDR2 as a horror game, setting up the expectation of security, only to shatter it with a simple, chilling reveal. He's outside of the map waiting. Crucially, this video offered no visual evidence. It was pure suggestion, a text-based horror prompt. The caption simply read, "The Twigman." This masterful lack of information forced the viewer to supply their own terrifying image. It established a name and a premise, an entity luring outside of the boundary, but left the crucial details to the collective imagination. This ambiguity was the foundation of the legend's initial growth, inviting speculation rather than demanding proof. The second post, from John Marston account on June 17, 2023, raised the stakes by showing a threat for the first time. Following a similar slideshow format, it organizes the game's scares from least to most scary. The third slide presents the image that most players associate with the Twigman myth, a vast, all-black featureless stick figure looming over a distant mountain range, likely in the northern Amberino region. This figure is insanely tall, casting an imposing silhouette against the sky. Let's be totally clear, this image is patently fake. It defies the realistic aesthetic of Red Dead Redemption 2's art direction. It looks less like a fancy glitch or a hidden character, and more like a poorly textured, glitched out asset that has been digitally alerted to enhance its size and menace. This image cemented the tall, slender description, but also introduced a critical flaw. Its exaggerated appearance suggested manipulation, even to a casual observer. It was the necessary visual shock, but it lacked the delicacy required for a truly believable Easter egg. The third key piece of evidence comes from the XL Rage LX account. While this account quickly went private, a screenshot from its slideshow showing a different version of the entity survived and circulated widely. This image proved to be one of the most convincing and the most deceptive. In this photograph, the player character is seen in a dry desert-like area of the map, hidden among the free shrubs in the dark. Thin figure that looks like more of a dried up tree or a bunch of twigs than the huge black stick seen before. This figure is smaller, more detailed, and could be easily mistaken for part of the environment. That's how it got the name, Twigman. Closer look shows two major, obvious problems that prove the story is fake. The official backstory, posted by the creators in the comments, say that Twigman was supposed to be above Amberino, near the Canada border of the snowy north, but the widely shared screenshot actually shows a dry, desert-like area that doesn't fit with the lore at all. On top of that, this desert is where the invisible New Austin sniper exists, a coded mechanic that kills Arthur if he enters New Austin too early, models and environments. This mistake was another clear sign that the sighting was made up, not discovered. The creators cared more about scaring people than following the game's rules. The images were definitely faked, but credit where it's due, the hoax worked. The amount of discussion, the frantic searching, and the dozens of copycat sightings showed just how convincing it was. They had successfully made a big part of the community believe a mysterious entity was real. For serious mystery hunters, the inconsistencies are impossible to ignore. The truth finally came out, not from a coding expert, but from one of the creators themselves. XLRageLX posted a confession on Reddit, finally putting the original fake Twigman to rest. He said, "Hey, I'm his friend. If you want the truth, the Twigman isn't real. Me and a couple of friends were up at 4 AM in a PlayStation party and came up with the idea to prank the entire Reddit community. The Twigman is supposed to be a super tall, skinny entity outside the map with no head and Reddit revolver graphics. Its purpose was to keep players inside the boundaries, like the New Austin sniper, but it's super fast, blends in with trees, and is invincible. One of us posted the first video as a joke, and he got a crazy amount of likes. Then another friend posted one, and the trend just kept going. The TikTok accounts of the original creators are XLRageLX, Hosea Matthews 202, and John Marston. The confession left no doubt. The Twigman legend, the monster outside the border, placeholder NPC, the specific images were analyzed, was fake. It was a late night prank designed to fool the Reddit community. That solved the main mystery of the original Twigman. The legend was a hoax. The images were fake. Case closed. Or was it? The confession only explains the fake images and the origins of the name. It doesn't explain the dozens of other strange videos and sightings that appeared online at the same time. If the original Twigman wasn't real, what were people actually seeing? There is still evidence of dark, flickering figures and strange despawning NPCs, things that existed before the hoax and continued after. The original creator's confession ended the Twigman hoax, but for those hunting glitches in the Wild West, the story was just the beginning. The prank gave a terrifying name to strange occurrences players had noticed for years in both Red Dead Redemption games. Videos posted during the hoax's popularity show black, featureless humanoid figures appearing briefly near the player, sometimes teleporting or vanishing instantly. Because of their similarity to the fictional Twigman, the community adopted the name for these genuine, unsettling glitches. First clip I found was this clip in Reddit by ComedyDude24, showing an encounter similar to the Twigman. This was very hard to see, so let me put this in slow motion for you guys so you can see it better. So as we can see in this clip, there is a strange black figure loading in and then disappearing. No one in the comments could explain this, but I found 2 more clips very similar to those clips on TikTok, so I'll show you the first one here. This clip is by GeoDrumPlays, and he claims to have found the Twigman. As you can see, there is a black figure in the distance that loaded in and then weirdly disappeared. Now, what is the explanation for this? How could this possibly happen? No mods were used in those clips because this is Reddit Online, which obviously you can't use mods. Now let's go to the last clip by Sammy Arts, and she has claimed to have found the strange Twigman.
So I was trying to get a video for content. Here's the video I got in TikTok size. Very pretty, right? Well, in full size it scares Memmy friend. And I were doing the Moni glitch. This was me freaked out by something. If you didn't see it here.
This one is a little different and more strange because here the figure is flickering but not disappearing. What is the explanation for all these clips? Let's go into the first clip. The first clip shows the player near the border, and then a black figure spawned and then disappeared. Now, was that the Twigman? Well, the answer is very underwhelming, because this isn't the Twigman or some Easter egg. This is just a player spawning and disappearing. Possibly because he's too close to the player, the game despawns him and spawns him in a different place, more far away from Comedy Dude 24. How do I know this? In the minimap, you could see a blue dot, which indicates that of a player spawning in and disappearing because he was too close to Comedy Dude 24. Not what I thought. In the second clip, I believe it's the same case. He spawned in the game, and then Geodrum Plays gets closer to him, and then spawns him more far away from Geodrum Plays. But Sammy Arts is a bit more different because it's not plainly just spawning and despawning. Here, the strange black figure is flickering, not disappearing. Why is that? Well, in my opinion, the explanation for this is simply because the game is struggling to choose between spawning the player and not spawning the player there. Now I found another clip, but this clip is different. This one isn't in online, but rather in story mode. This clip is from Reddit user GoodPerception6774. Consider the footage posted by GoodPerception774 in RDR2 story mode. This video shows an all-black figure, humanoid in shape, actively running away from the player. It maintains a consistent movement path before simply despawning when out of the view. This is far more chilling because it can be a player spawn, while RDR2 story mode has known glitches where fully textured normal NPCs will sometimes disappear. A game mechanic to manage memory and draw distance, this figure is fully black, untextured, and seems to be fleeing rather than just despawning based on distance. It suggests a rendering failure tied to a specific type of NPC spawn. It might be a very rare random encounter where both its textures and movement glitch at the same time. Without more code analysis, we cannot be sure. Now we got this very strange clip, but this one is in RDR1, which is very weird because the Twigman is supposed to be in RDR2. Some of the oldest and eeriest footage comes from Red Dead Redemption 1. The older graphics make it more unsettling. In these clips, a completely black NPC appears and disappears right in front of the player, much like in RDR2, but within the original single-player engine. Seeing this untextured black figure in the first game suggests that the phenomenon, the digital shadow, isn't unique to RDR2. It could be a fundamental engine quirk or an old rendering bug affecting temporary or low priority character models across the series. It's a visual error that, when recorded, captures the same fear that gave rise to the Twigman legend. Now, there's no real explanation for this because I genuinely don't know what the fuck that is. This is not online, this is the story mode. But if you guys have an explanation, tell it in the comments. After debunking the hoax and looking at real sightings, the truth is clear. Twigman is not real, but our need to believe in it is. The hoax worked because it gave a name and story to a pre-existing, unsettling gap in the game. The vast Reddit maps, especially the empty borders, naturally make players paranoid. Alone in the wilderness, the mind sees patterns, or they may be none. The real sightings, the flickering player models and untextured NPCs, are just visual errors in the game struggles to load assets. But in a horror setting, a simple glitch can feel like a ghost. The hoax turned a coding flaw into a stalking digital specter. You won't find Twigman in the game's code, but every time you ride to the edge of the map, every time a strange shadow flickers in the trees, a part of your mind whispers its name. The monster may be fake, but the shadows it hides in, they were always real, and maybe they're closer than we think.